Poland just cut China's lifeline to Europe. You feel it, right? Don't you? That quiet tension in the air, like history just slipped on black ice and no one knows where it's going to land. Something has shifted. And today we're talking about a decision that didn't just close a border, it shut down a lifeline between East and West. All right, guys, let's dive in. All right, everyone, thank you guys so much for joining me on the baseline today. Hope everybody's having a great day, great night, great life. So here's what's happening. Poland has just slammed its border with Belarus shut indefinitely. And by doing so, they didn't just inconvenience a few truckers. They've disrupted a trade route worth an estimated 25 billion pounds. And one of the most important overland arteries between China and the European Union. Now think about that. While you're clocking in at work, paying your taxes, stretching your paycheck to cover the groceries, politicians are pulling levers that choke off the entire trade corridors with ripple effects that land squarely on your wallet. Now, here's the official line. Poland says this closure was about security. Russia and Belarus just wrapped up massive military drills, Zapad 2025. Now, normally, foreign observers are invited. Poland watched, and when the exercises ended, they didn't reopen the gates. Their government declared, quote, "The logic of security has replaced the logic of trade." Translation, we're putting tanks and threats ahead of trains and trucks. But let's pause for a reality check just for a moment, because was there an immediate invasion? No. Were missiles flying across that particular border? Also no. Poland made a political call. They'd rather take an economic hit than risk being blindsided. And that's where geopolitics beats economics every single time. Now, here's where it gets a bit juicy, right? This corridor, it's running through China, Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, Poland. It's not just another rail line. It's been exploding in use. In 2024, trade through this route surged, hitting that 25 billion a year figure. So for perspective, that's close to 4% of all EU-China commerce. Not the majority, but still a serious slice of the pie. And here's the kicker. Most estimates say this single line handles the majority of China-EU rail freight. Some reports even claim 90%. Though we have to be precise, that's likely inflated. The truth is, it's dominant, but not that dominant. So why would Poland choke off its own cash flow? Well, we got to pull back the curtain. Washington has been pressuring Europe for months to get tough on China, especially as Beijing keeps buying Russian oil and gas. Now, by shutting this corridor, Poland effectively did something US policymakers wanted without Brussels having to announce new tariffs or sanctions. Quiet leverage, but loud impact. And if you think Washington is upset, please, they're probably raising glasses of champagne because who else benefits? Western Europe's big seaports, Rotterdam, Hamburg ports that were being bypassed by rail may now see ships rerouted their way. In geopolitics, there are rarely coincidences, just converging interests. Meanwhile, let's talk about the human cost, because reports suggest that thousands of Belarusian truckers, many working for Polish firms, are stranded in limbo. Not 10, not 100, thousands. No way home, no way back to work. Goods stuck on one side of the border. Medicines, food supplies, time-sensitive shipments, they're all stalled. Now, I don't know about you, but when my Wi-Fi drops for just 5 minutes, I have the potential to lose my mind. Now, imagine what happens when a country's supply chain drops for weeks. And here's the silence that's just screaming out loud. Brussels, the EU leadership, has barely said a word. No big statement, no urgent plan, no, we're working on it. And in diplomacy, silence is often the loudest answer, because Europe's basically saying, we'll tolerate this, at least for now. And China, of course, is watching like a hawk. Foreign Minister Wang Yi flew into Warsaw this week. He met Poland's war hawk diplomat, Radoslaw Surowski, smiled for the cameras, asked politely for the border to reopen, and left empty-handed. Now, for Beijing, this isn't World War III. Their global trade machine is massive. This corridor is just one of many. But make no mistake, they see the pattern. First tariffs, now border closures. The West is tightening the screws. And here's where it gets even messier, right? If this closure holds, freight will have to detour south through Kazakhstan, through Caspian Sea, and maybe through Turkey. But that route is slower, costlier, riskier. So think of it like Google Maps shutting down your freeway and rerouting you through every pothole-ridden back road in town, which happens often out here. But that's what Europe's supply chain is actually facing. And you know what analysts are already whispering? If Poland can close Belarus indefinitely, what's stopping Lithuania or Latvia from doing the same thing tomorrow? Because suddenly the so-called land bridge between China and Europe looks a lot more like a landmine. So let's circle back for just a second, because what does this actually mean for you? You sitting in your living room, scrolling through this video? It means the price of everything from sneakers to cell phones could creep upward. Not like they haven't been all this time anyway. But it means Europe's businesses are flying blind, not knowing when or if their shipments will roll again. And it means geopolitics has once again hijacked the economy. And here's the part no one's saying out loud, right? This isn't just Poland versus Belarus. It's a front line in the bigger game. US containment of China, European dependency on Washington, and Beijing's struggle to keep trade flowing westward. So think about it. One border crossing gets shut, and suddenly 3 continents feel the shock. That's how fragile globalization has become. And that fragility, it's power. Whoever controls these choke points controls the future. So where does it go from here? That's the cliffhanger, right? Because does Europe double down on aligning with Washington, even at the cost of its own trade with China? Or does it push back and reopen those arteries, risking friction across the Atlantic? Because make no mistake about this, guys. What's happening in Poland, it isn't just about Poland. It's about the future shape of the world order. And while politicians play chess with borders, it's you and I paying the price at the checkout counter. So yes, guys, challenges lie ahead. But here's the empowerment of all this, right? Because you see this clearly, you're already stronger and ahead of 90% of people who only hear headlines. You know the game being played, and that's how you're going to end up winning. So stay sharp, stay skeptical. Let me know what you think about this, guys. Am I all right? Am I all wrong? Put your comments in the section below. I read them all, I reply to them all, and I value your opinion. Thank you again so much for watching The Baseline, and we'll catch you the next round. All right, cheers, everybody.